The benefit of this is sending this to where you shouldn't send a human. This is where the money is made.
Okay.
And I'll show you where the money is spent. So this have an RGB and an infrared at the same time. Just why would you use another method? This is cheaper, better. Google Maps on steroids. The drone is creating a new industry that's creating more and more jobs and it's taking away.
Wow, I didn't expect that is such a low rate.
There's still not enough adoption considering the benefits of drone. Some LiDARs goes and cost up to $500,000 for instance.
In the future, drones gonna be not good to have, but a must.
This is the same map converted to a digital surface model. The more data you collect, the better your AI is gonna be.
I crashed 2 drones.
Okay. All the clients care about is the report. What they want is this data. We have a fleet of about 50 drones right now.
50.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the drone can do to benefit the agriculture industry.
Dubai Sky Dome.
Attract investors to come here and start building their own automated system because Dubai will allow them.
Today we are visiting companies that are leading in drone technology as a service. FEDS, Falcon Eye Drones. We're gonna meet their team and gonna find out what they're doing, what's coming in the market, and what new technology in the drone industry is doing for UAE. Hi Ravi.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
How are you? You all right?
Good, thank you.
Please come in.
Your business is very close to my passion. We are from video production side. We're using drones.
Of course.
So I'm very excited to be here and hear your stories, what you guys do.
Yeah, I would love to tell you. We have so much drones for you to see as well.
All right.
All right, come in.
Okay, show around. I see here already a lot of drones.
Yeah, so this is obviously our meeting room.
Okay.
We have some drones on display.
All right.
These are the sales team. So this is where the money is made.
Okay.
I'll show you where the money is spent.
I see you guys writing a lot on,
Yeah.
on the walls.
Yeah, that's an easy way to keep track. So this is like a processing station. So most of the processing happen here. And this is marketing.
What do you mean by processing?
So basically, I mean, what we do with the drone in general, so we do have a small production side for us as well that you would, understand like, processing videos on and up. But for us, we do a lot of topography, aerial mapping.
Okay.
So we use a drone to collect 2D data that we convert them into 3D data that are maps. So we convert imagery into actionable data. So, and obviously it needs to be processed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a simple way we say it, like everybody's seen Google Maps, but it's like Google Maps on steroids. You see 1 centimeter resolution or pixels, and the accuracy is really, really good. So if I give you a map, you look at it and you go, I need to put a new road. So the drone data allows you, or the processing of the drone data will allow you to put an accurate road or to build a building where it's supposed to be. Traditionally, obviously, you'll have to have a total stations. People have to measure on the ground or use a laser scanner. But now we rely on drone data.
Okay.
And drone data is better because it's faster. And with speed comes efficiency, and with efficiency comes, cost saving.
All right. So you guys are replacing, I see on the roads these guys with the tripods looking
absolutely.
through the...
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so
So
now
that's replaced by drone. We still need the ground team to do some measurement. So the drone achieves a level of accuracy that cannot exceed like a few centimeters. But if you're going to reach the millimeter accuracy, you still need some terrestrial-based equipment. So we replace traditional surveyors, people on the ground. We replace satellite, and we replace fixed-wing mapping. The technology isn't new in terms of how you process the data, but the drone is what kind of pushed the limit because we're much cheaper than helicopters and Cessnas and so on, much more resolution than satellite. Satellite gives you, the best satellite now gives you 30 centimeters, but until last year or before, it was a meter, 10 meters, whatever.
It's very broad.
So it's not enough accuracy, not enough details. And the ground team is just too slow. That's what the drone comes in. So it brings the good of everyone, and it makes it cheaper and faster. This is a map right now. So what you're looking at is what I described as Google on steroids. So if you zoom in, so each pixel here is 1.8 centimeter.
So it's your created kind of image.
Yeah.
Visual.
So this is a map, not a picture. So we convert roughly, I don't know. So if you zoom all the way out, okay. So that's about a kilometer by a kilometer, Nikin. Yeah. So how many imagery roughly for this? 2,500. So we take 2,500 pictures and
to stitch together.
Yeah, to stitch just one by 1 kilometer, and this is the level of details that you would get.
Guys, I see you have a massive hard drive stack.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a massive data. Yeah.
So we need a lot of data. Yeah. And obviously sensitive data, so it cannot be stored anywhere. So it have to be secured.
No, that's nice. Yeah. So what's the use of this?
Okay. So this is practically a map, right? So if you want to, let's say, make a bigger road here, to widen the road, you need to have a topographical map. The beauty of it is it's just accurate. So you just, you
can measure like
you can measure. So you can do a volume calculation. Each point on the map as well have XYZ value. So it's a 3D point.
So how come you can calculate volume as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the same map converted to a digital surface model. So keep it on the DSM. Yeah. So here, this is elevation, right? So this is the lowest point, and this is the highest point. Okay. Now this area is flat, obviously, but if there was a mountain and a hill, then the color would change a lot. So the building, because it's 2-3 meters high, it's red. Every point on the map, when you click on it, it has 3 values: X, Y, because where it is, and Z, which is its altitude. Well, even though we have a lot of pictures, it's still less than what you would produce from an airplane or satellite. So it's manageable data basically.
Yeah.
The other thing we do, our other vertical beside mapping, is asset inspection. So we inspect assets like power line. So when you look, you see all these high voltage towers. When you drive, you see them all next to the highways and so on.
Yeah.
This needs inspection on a regular basis.
Okay.
Like at least once a year, once every 2 years.
So you guys were flying, taking footage or pictures? Or?
Yeah, exactly. So we do multiple data collection. So traditionally, you need to use an IR sensor to look for hotspots, because a hotspot is a sign that something is going wrong.
Okay.
You take RGB imagery, just high resolution pictures, to see if there's cracks, if there's a bolt that is loose, there's some faulty equipment. And we do a UV sensor, which looks for flaring of the in the industry it's called corona flaring. Usually we try not to use this term anymore now, but it's a UV sensor, which we call a corona camera. And then we look for what they call arcing as well. So it's also an early sign that something is going wrong.
Yeah.
This is the level of details we can zoom. Can you zoom in, Nikin? So this is the level of details we can see, and they had no other way of seeing it before.
Yeah.
You couldn't see this, right? Because you either have to climb, and if you climb, you only have your eyes, so you're not going to be equipped to take a picture, right? So you can only see it and take a report that I have a damage on this insulator.
Like
each insulator, it's just a report. And when you use a helicopter to inspect, it does not see this because it can only have one top-down view. Where with the drone, you have multiple views to find the faults you're looking for. This spacer, again, separates the conductor, the power lines. This is really important not to break, because if they break, then the spacers will touch each other, which, it cause a short circuit and cause a blackout. So you can see this one is broken. So this is a critical fault that needs to be fixed immediately.
Yeah, okay, so you guys found this.
We find this and reported immediately to the power line company. They have to fix it.
All right.
So these are the two biggest things that we do in terms of inspection one side and mapping on the other.
I understood you guys have a media side, which is like pictures and photos.
Yeah, so we don't do a lot of media. So we don't advertise for it. We don't, but we work with clients. They know we have drones and we have the permit to fly. So we ask us, like, why can't you do a video for us?
Additional service.
Additional service. So we do some of that. We have the sensors for it. But our bread and butter is in inspection and mapping.
So that's the core.
That's the core of what we do.
Inspection and mapping.
Yeah. And we're going into new fields. We're going to agriculture. So there's a lot of things that the drone can do to benefit the agriculture industry. It's the process is very similar to mapping. You just fly a drone over a field, you collect data, and then you process this data. In the case of agriculture, we change the sensor. And we use like a multispectral sensor that collect different information of the vegetation that allows us to analyze their needs, basically.
Okay.
So like if they're water stressed, if they're underfed, if they have an infestation of some sort or anything like this.
All right, great. No, looks amazing.
Yeah. There's a bit more messy storage and workshop.
Right. Can we see that?
If you'd like to see it.
Yeah, please.
This is equipment we use for our own flight. So all of this is just our own equipment and behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really just drones.
Question: you have a lot of equipment, of course. Like
Yeah,
see so
I mean,
many bags
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and boxes. Which one
this
is the
is-
most expensive drone or not a drone that you have?
They're not. I mean, the sensors are really the most expensive.
Sensors.
Drones are less expensive. At the end of the day, drone is mechanically is not that complicated. It's just a small airplane that flies. The advancement that allowed the drone to do this is just basically the software became smart enough to do the adjustment to keep the drone stable in the air. So it didn't require any more piloting skills. So mechanically, the drone is very easy to fly, especially today's drones. You know, we launch it, you can let go, it will just sit there and wait for you.
Yeah.
Hover, it will stay there. So it's not hard anymore to fly a drone. So it's a sensor that does all the work.
So sensor.
Sensor could be anything, right? So we mentioned UV. We use LiDAR, a laser scanner. Some LiDARs goes and cost up to $500,000, for instance, depending on the weight. So there's some that are, you know, much more expensive, but they're also much bigger. Yeah. So the one that fits on drones, they range in price between 34, maybe there's cheaper ones right now, but let's say a few tens of thousands of dollars to a few hundreds. So these are probably the most expensive equipment that we have.
Sensors.
Yeah, these are the ones that we put. So this is a small one. That's actually a light receiver.
Okay.
So because this would be on top of a drone like this and receives light from the sun. So it's just to adjust the reflection of the sun.
Okay.
So this is for agriculture reasons. And this is a dual sensor. So this have an RGB and an infrared at the same time. This is actually also used for agriculture because you get two sets of data at the same time. So RGB gives you red, green, and blue, and this gives you infrared.
Okay.
So this is a lot of information that an agronomist would need. Otherwise, you have to do two flights. So you do an infrared flight, and then you cannot overlay them with accuracy. So you won't know if the same leaf is given. So with this, it overlays them with high accuracy. Yeah. So this
is for the agriculture only.
Yeah. Well, you can use it for others, depending on what your application is.
All right.
Because this is still a mapping software. This is just an overlay, an IR map on it. I think that's an inspection system. So that fits on a multi-rotor, also dual use. So this would have an infrared and an RGB and a navigation sensor. So this allows you to see where you are and where the camera is pointing at. And then you have two different clicks, one to get IR data and one to get RGB data. So this fits on a multi-rotor, as you can see. So it has its own gimbal to calibrate.
Multi-rotor is something like this, I believe.
Yeah, with multiple propellers, multiple.
Okay.
And a fixed wing is something that looks like a normal plane. So a fixed wing usually will have one propeller, one engine, because it flies longer. It relies on aerodynamics to gain more endurance.
So you guys have many of these. Like, how many sets you have? Why do you need so many?
Well, because each project will need. So we have a fleet of about 50 drones right now.
50.
Yeah, and each one would have at least one or two sensors. So a huge amount of sensors because, I mean, we're running large projects right now across the Middle East. So let's say if you're inspecting every power line, let's say in Oman, you'd need at least just for this project 100 drones. So if you're doing the whole country, so that's really the reason you'd need that much. So if you're in a rush, we can do it very quickly. So in mapping, a drone can do, let's say, 1 to 5 kilometers a day. We have the capability of doing up to 40, 50 kilometers a day.
So how big is the team?
So we're about 30 people here in the UAE. We have a small team in Saudi. And now we're launching, other countries around the Middle East, having like a complete base. But today we're about, I think in total, maybe around 40, 45, including some part-timers.
Okay, wow.
So that's
and if you need, you scale up for the project.
Yeah. And we're actually not just based here. So we're part of a bigger company called Aerodyne, which with Aerodyne, we make about 500 teams around the planet. So with presence in around 30, 35 markets. So we have right now, a very global footprint. But as FEDS in the Middle East, we're
So what does it mean part of it? Are you guys belonging or?
They invested in FEDS about a year ago, so which made us, part of a bigger company.
So they have some shares.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it a common thing drone to crash or?
It's not. If you're doing it professionally, no, it's not common. But
Okay.
because we consult and support a lot of clients with drones, we see a lot of people crashing. But that's a lot from mismanagement and pilot's error. Obviously, everything crashes at the end of the day. So in 7 years, we've had 2 incidents.
7 years, only 2.
Yeah. I mean, if you have more than that, you probably shouldn't be working in the aviation industry, right?
I crashed 2 drones.
Okay. So no, we only have 2 incidents. One was a complete pilot error, and one was a complete manufacturer error. So a drone just dropped from the sky for no reason, and then it took a few months of investigation, and we realized that the software just would wrongly assume the battery's dead and just shuts down the power.
Okay.
And then the drone just dropped. So, that was figured out by the manufacturer and got fixed after a while. And another was just a pilot error, not following procedure, basically. But yeah, in general, they don't crash.
Wow,
flights.
I didn't expect that it's such a low rate.
We have a very strict procedure on how to follow things, what to do to avoid these risks. Pre-maintenance and post-maintenance of the equipment. Deciding when the life cycle is over, managing batteries. We're in the aviation industry, so you have to take things a bit more seriously than.
So what's the service for?
In this office, it's all about services in the sense of you have a land you want to map, you call me and map it for me. You have a power line you want to inspect, you call me, I inspect it for you. You have an oil and gas, so this is our service division. Yeah. So our trading department is we just sell drones. So we import, we sell, we train. I'll show you. It's not here. It's a unique model that goes for confined space inspection.
Is it in that room?
Yes, probably in our meeting room.
Should we go and check it?
We can go and check it now if you want. That's a real life drone. That's not a kind of a mock-up. But what it does is, as you can see, it's protected, so it can bash into walls and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the benefit of this is sending this to where you shouldn't send a human. So any confined space. So let's say AC ducts on a top of a hangar, right? So they need to put a scaffolding and somebody needs to climb. This is okay compared to, let's say, a chimney stack in an oil and gas where either it's very toxic or it's too hot.
Yeah.
So instead of cooling it down or flushing it out to send a human or putting a hazmat and having risk of leaks and health and safety, you just send this. You can handle 70 degrees Celsius heat, and obviously it's immune to any gases, and it have again an infrared sensor and an RGB sensor, and these are LED lights to allows it to see in very dark places.
Yeah.
So we use it for metro tunnel inspection.
Okay.
We've done it here. Okay. We've done it for normal tunnels as well, because usually when you shut down a tunnel, you have to build a scaffolding to go up to measure all these units. So there's a lot of things that you shouldn't be climbing anymore and sending humans to do them, either for health and safety or for you just don't want to risk it. Why risk it?
No, of course.
Just send a drone. And this is Sensefly. This is a fixed wing drone. So this is what we use for mapping. So just one propeller, very lightweight and very advanced. So a lot of accuracy, a lot of air time as well. So this can fly for an hour and a half. And this is what we map with tens of kilometers a day.
Oh, this is, I see the sensor that you showed.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you need to remove the. So this is not a dual sensor, just one. So this is a mapping sensor, but you could see how modular and plug and play. So if the sensor breaks, you throw it away, you replace it by a new one.
Yeah.
And there's not much mechanics in it. So this is controlled by the body even. So basically, I don't know if I can just pull it without breaking it.
I see it coming out.
So basically, there's nothing mechanical here. This is just a piece of foam, and all the control and everything is in the body. So when the drone wants to move left and right, this is what it uses. I'm really impressed with this system. We've been using it for a very long time now as one of the most successful fixed-wing drones for mapping.
This drone is for the aerial mapping.
Yeah, yeah.
This one you explained, this is for going to, I don't know.
Confined spaces. AC ducts.
Yeah.
Chimney stacks.
Chimney and stuff. Yeah.
Anything dangerous, anything poisonous.
This one?
Yeah. This is for inspection. So this is basically everything else, right? So this is very new as well. And you can see there's so many components and buttons and extras on it.
So
There's,
many sensors.
on the top, I can see 6 sensors just here, 5 sensors. And you can see the front sensor. So most of those are sense and avoid. So they detect something, they realize something, they stop, they slow down. So this cannot crash into a wall.
Yeah.
I mean, if you try hard, you probably will, but it will avoid.
It looks heavy.
Usually, I mean, you can pick it up. It's fairly heavy.
Can we put maybe on the table?
So, but as I mentioned before, even with all this cleverness, everything is here. Everything is in the sensor. Because without this is just a flying, you know.
So this one is looking down to the ground, and this one you can come to the cables. And
exactly. The beauty of this, if my tower is here, I'm inspecting it, I can hover and come as close as I want and take a picture, right? Or be far and zoom in and take a picture. But this is something neither this drone or this drone can do. So this have the capability to fly now about 55 minutes, which is
55?
really, in good conditions. Usually, you know, you're speeding up, there's wind, so that gets reduced. But we get easily 40 minutes, 45 minutes out of it every flight, which is amazing. You know, when the average was 20 minutes, now you're doubling your air time. So it doesn't matter how expensive the drone is, you will have to update your fleet with this drone because you're just getting so much out of it.
Yeah.
But the shocking part is it was cheaper than its predecessor.
Okay.
So they're getting better and cheaper, just like your computer and like your, except the phones, I guess. Every year they're more expensive. It's but again, a drone is just a flying machine, right? So what you put underneath it is the payload, and the payload could be anything you want. Sensors are usually the biggest case. Internationally, cameras for production is the biggest use for drones right now. Agriculture will be the biggest soon, but I could use it to spray. I could use it to. So we did tree planting. We know people that use them for bird training. The bird in the drone, they go up and then they release it, and then or they get the drone to fly and have a prey tied to it, and the bird like falcon training and so on. Yeah. Okay. So there's so many things you could do, honestly. So it's possible, but I'm not part of it today, right? So I believe that we will be having drones delivering all our pizzas, and soon. But not this year.
Once technology is ready.
Technology is ready, actually. Infrastructure is not ready.
Okay.
So the problem with the deliveries is if you live in this building, where do I drop your pizza, right? So, you know what? And if you live in a villa, how do I know when I'm landing there's no pets or children, right? So that's one. Also, if I land and deliver your pizza safely because I have a landing pod, because there's a barcode, there's biometrics, nothing's gonna happen. How do I know when the drone comes back, it's gonna come back clean, right? What if you put something on it on the way back? What if you remove the component?
Then it's your responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. So the airspace is not ready, landing spots are not ready, regulations are not ready. Drones connecting with other drones, what we call the UTM, is not ready. So if you ask me tomorrow, let's go to, I don't know, Barsha and start to deliver the system, technologically we're ready. And it's possible. There's a small area, it's all villas. So I will go and install barcode landing zones for every villa. It's either shielded or it comes with a warning that, to keep children and pets away. We can have sensors on the drone that if anybody messes with the drone, any grams difference, it will not take off anymore. It's ready, but on a small scale. I can do a villa compound, I can do half a city. Yeah. But for large scale, you have to integrate with an international commercial airspace. The integration is the issue. That's why I'm calling it the infrastructure. But really, as technology is ready, we can deploy it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rabbi, for the tour. That was lovely. And I think it's a common question that I'm asking in these episodes is like, what's your story to how did it lead to the drones? How did you start the business?
So personally, I was looking for the next big thing. So I wanted to start something different, something new. It's a mindset, when you want to do something. And I was on the lookout. And I was living in Africa at the time. And I heard about drones for commercial purposes. Obviously, 8 years ago, drones weren't very popular. A lot of people didn't know that drones could be used, including me. I didn't know that they could use for commercial reasons. We know about drones that used in war, or that's the only time you'd hear about it. So somebody pitched the concept to me, and I just started looking into it. And it was impressive. And I was like, if this is real, this is amazing. This is the future, you know. But like, obviously, you're pitched always a million ideas. So you never know which is real and which is not. So at the time, I think it was 2012, I decided to kind of investigate it more. So I just did really that. So I met a few drone manufacturers, tried to investigate, you know, went to a few countries that are advanced in terms of regulations and stuff. So I met a couple of startups that are now huge companies as well in Europe. So honestly, Dubai was a no-brainer. One, there was no similar business in the Middle East. And if you were to launch it in the Middle East, there's no better country than the UAE to kind of start a business. So that's kind of the seed of it. The journey wasn't easy. You know, with a new technology, it's always the hardest part is market education, right? So we first started with just mapping, aerial mapping. That's the only thing we wanted to do. So we got proper hardware, professional guys to fly the drones, good process to get, you know, accuracy, and, you know, we tried to sell it. It was tough. It was very hard to convince a construction company how a 2D image can convert into 3D map that is as accurate as you know, traditional methods. And, you know, there's a thing that we all believe is, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, why do I need you, right? So, but if you can improve it, if I can save you money, wouldn't you change it, right? But, you know, with the attitude of it's not broken, don't fix it, we had to kind of re-strategize, and we did a huge kind of reshuffle of our strategy. We focused on just educating first, you know, and pushing marketing, and then, you know, once the market is ready to kind of put more into it. It's not a problem now. Everybody knows what a drone is. We barely keep up with the demands right now. It's just the perception of drones became different, and we're seeing that we're getting that push, especially from the construction industry, in terms of, you know, all right, we want to listen. What can a drone do? How can it improve our business, and so on? There's still not enough adoption, considering the benefits of drone, but that's still international. I think we have like 15% penetration, in the sense of 15% of business believe that a drone should be used, and everybody else is still resistant.
So still a lot of opportunities too.
There's still a lot of opportunities. It's still a lot of fun, and, you know, the market is huge and growing, obviously. So this part of the world is amazing right now for business. So in other countries, there was a lot of roadblocks from authorities. So even in the US, where usually they're more advanced than other countries when it comes to tech and so on, with drones they weren't, because FAA took too long to release the regulations, and without a regulations framework, less people are willing to invest. Other countries like, you know, Poland, South Africa, Australia, all of these, they had them for years. So they had a chance, just like us, to experiment, to fly, to test, to do things before other countries. So we had this advantage from our government here to support, you know, our growth. Not to confuse this, drones are very, very regulated. It's not easy to fly. The government doesn't make it easy, but as long as you're doing it legally, as long as you're doing it nicely, then they let you do it. So as long as it's safe and there's no privacy, there's no security issues, then they let you do whatever you want. So that's an advantage we have here. So that's kind of why, you know, we got this boost. And obviously, when you have a first mover advantage, is always good. So between starting early, between being allowed to fly early as well, to experiment, to test, to improve on our application early, it gave us this edge internationally as well. We're very confident that we produce one of the most accurate maps out there. I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. When you follow procedure, you're gonna get data, right? So when you do a good job, you do a good job.
A lot of different services, from like filming, mapping, then surveillance, and so what's the core business? Let's say, what's the statement of the business? What are you targeting, and where are you heading to?
So basically, our statement is empowering every business with a drone solution. So this is what we do today: is drone solutions. So data is what we sell. So you come to me as an entity that needs solutions. So it's not about drones. And actually 90% of our data is drone right now, but 10% is not drones anymore. So we combine satellite, handheld, and fixed cameras with our drones to produce maps. And we see this evolving to more and more other sensors, not just drones. Drones is an amazing tool because you can put the sensor anywhere. But like I've said, the sensor is everything. for the data collection part of the things. But at the end of the day, all the clients care about is the report, whether it's a map or whether it's a fault or anomaly status or whatever. So what they want is this data. So what we focus now on the solution. So I come to you and like, what is your problem? What's going on? Where is your pain points? And then we will use a drone or a sensor, be it fixed terrestrial or not, to fix that problem. So today we're a data company, and this is what we sell. This is how we make money. The drone part is just one way of data collection. But yeah, so this is the focus. And going forward this is the direction. So we will be moving into more of a fleet management, data management kind of approach. As the drones become smarter and smarter, there is no need for an operator anymore. So they're gonna do the job based on AI autonomy, but they'll always need management, and obviously the data will need management. So we see ourselves in the future as fleet and data management company.
So is it entities coming to you and saying we have the problem, or
Yeah.
you guys approaching it like, hey, we have the company where we can solve that specific?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's both. So I mean, the sales guy's job is to find people that are not using drones and explain to them the benefits of drones and try to convince them to convert drones. So most of the big companies that you can think of have implemented drones in their process somehow. There is no big company that I know of, like the big names, like they have drones, they have used them. A lot of them try to build their own departments of drones as well. It's not something that it's like a luxury or do I show. It's a mandatory thing that everybody will do.
It's a competitive kind of.
It's guaranteed that every construction site everywhere on the planet in the next couple of years will have not one but multiple drones constantly flying around it. It's guaranteed that every survey that is within a certain size will be done by drone. All inspections will be drones, all deliveries will be drones, everything, because it just makes sense. But during the pandemic, there's this new light where the drone is delivering packages to people that shouldn't leave their quarantine area, and the drone is spraying the streets to keep the things clean, and the drone is following some bad guy that is not following the rules and so on. So it just brought that. So that's one step in terms of going forward. And then you have the regulatories where, how high can a drone go? How much damage can it do? How much weight? So all of these are not yet studied and calculated for mass adoption. But we're getting there. Once we have the public, the regulators, and obviously the manufacturer, because it's a new industry. Now, you'll see it now that a lot of architects that are designing buildings, they're designing it with a drone landing pod by their windows or by their balcony, right?
Is it happening already?
You see them. I mean, I don't know if they start building them, but we've heard that some of the developers here as well, they're building new, let's say, villa compounds with a drone landing pod in mind, part of the design. So this is how it's gonna, the mass adoption is gonna convert, where, it needs to start from within the infrastructure. So there's a lot to be worked until we get there, but we're definitely getting there.
I like what you said, that in the future, drones gonna be not good to have, but a must.
It's a must to have. It's a must to have. I mean, especially when we improve our energy source. Right now we're relying heavily on LiPo batteries, which they're good, but not enough. So once we improve our energy sources and the drone can fly, a few hours, it becomes a very amazing tool, especially if we can obviously invent something that is, green with no footprint, carbon footprint behind it, then you have to drop everything else and just rely on those systems.
Okay, so is this biggest technology challenge is a battery right now?
Right now, to me, I would say that's the biggest, because you can fly, you can develop an AI that allows automated flights, but without an energy source that allows you to fly longer, you have limitations.
You mentioned that you worked on one of the biggest, projects in UAE. Maybe you can mention or give one case study what you guys worked on.
I mean, we like I said, our focus is on mapping and inspection. So we've done a lot of mapping work for the government's department. So 99% of our clients the end user is government. So, I mean, we've done mapping for most of the municipalities, a lot of work for Abu Dhabi municipality. We've done work for some ministries like the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. We worked with Infrastructure Ministry as well. So a lot of work for most of them are on that side. And on the inspection side, A similar name. So because it's utilities, so we work with, the power companies, oil and gas companies, distribution companies, inspection companies. So all of those we'd work with either directly with the government or as a subcontractor through another big entity to serve these. And we're replicating this across the region. So we're doing work in Saudi, in Oman. We've done work in Bahrain as well for the same. We've done some work in Africa.
For example, unique selling point, FEDS.
Yeah.
Like, can I buy a drone? Like, it's accessible. I can save the money, buy it, and start working, or there is something more?
Yeah, there is more to it. It's following the procedure and data management is the hardest thing. So to fly the drone, it's not hard. The manufacturer done an amazing job at producing drone. It's the data management that's hard, and this is where we come in. Because data is going to be a huge issue, and you need the AI that manages data, and you didn't miss anything, and you extracted every data point, and you get the accuracy you need. So there's flying the drone, and there's actually getting the job done, right? So
after the flight, you're getting a lot of data. So what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, again, different applications is different things. I mean, even within inspection, let's say you're inspecting solar panels, you're inspecting wind turbines, you're inspecting bridges, you're inspecting cranes. Flare tips. So each one of these inspections have its own software suite to allows it to detect what you're looking for. In solar panels, you need to make sure that all the modules are working equally, right? It's really hard to know when something goes wrong. You will detect it, but you won't know where exactly it is. So hotspot is the best way or the first line of defense to detect this. Traditionally, you'll have to walk it through. You just have to handheld and just walk, and you bring the drone, it scans it in a day, and bam,
you get the answer which one is.
Yeah, exactly. So you find exactly that point. But to be able to do this, you need the software to have the proper flight path, and the software to automatically detect and to report it quickly and to tell you exactly where it is. And now we're pushing it a bit further we recommend what the actions to take. So we'll have, let's say, a solar engineer that knows exactly if this is that fault, then this is the recommendation that we put out. And we do this for every vertical in that sense. This is why the software suite that comes with the data is very important. And as you can imagine, it's a huge amount of data, and somebody have to deal with this. And manually, it can be done if you have the expertise, but then it takes forever. So you'll need to develop an AI to do this. You cannot develop an AI without data. Who have the data that, we have the data because we're seeing it. So that's why you will need someone like us actually to give you accurate report at speed, because otherwise, if you're not going to give them the speed, then they can still keep walking until they find that spot. So that's why data management is so critical, that I can very quickly find the fault and tell you where and tell you what to do with it.
So do you using already like AI for your data?
Yeah. So most of our fault detection now is happening through AI. The neural network itself isn't hard to develop, right? It's not hard to tell a computer when, this is that, whatever it is, and you find this point highlighted, right? That's easy, but the computer will not learn every aspect without training, right? So each fault takes about 2,000 to 3,000 imagery. And when you're taking each fault, we're talking, let's say, a stain of rust, right? Now, if a stain of rust looks that way, now we need another 2,000 pictures of that kind. If it's a crack, now we need the 2,000. If it's a crack in silicon, then we need it. If it's a crack in glass, it needs. So you have so many faults that needs training. And without a library of data, you cannot train a software. And because of our track record now of 7 years of data collection, we can train, and it still doesn't apply on everything, right? So if you give me a new asset that I've never inspected before, then I'm back to square one.
Yeah.
But in general, we have, for instance, I've showed you earlier the clamps. Now our AI is like 95% accurate on clamps. It will detect clamps automatically. So it used to take, let's say, 5 days for our team to go through a certain amount of data. Now the AI in a day can detect immediately all the clamps error. So we don't have everything ready yet, but for clamps we have it, for rust we have it. A few faults like cracks, missing pins and so on. So we've trained our software on so many faults that is ready already, which, there's a lot of AI company that tell you they could do this, and it's true, they can, but without a library of data to train it, they will lack the accuracy. They'll tell you, okay, we can do it, but just give me the data to train my system, and then I'll give you the software.
Okay. So more you guys working in this industry with specific, projects. you are becoming just better and better
That's the advantage. That's the advantage.
and running from competitors.
Obviously, we're not the only one doing this on the planet, so there's a lot of things going. But the faster, the more data you collect, the better your AI is going to be.
What's the future? What's new technologies coming? How the future going to look like?
The biggest thing that would be added to drones today is robotic arms. I think that would be, so right now we rely on drones for their sensors, but the payload in the future doesn't not necessarily have to be a sensor. It could be a robotic arm. So instead, again, of sending a human so we detect the fault and then we repair the fault. So we want to move to a point where we don't have to send a human to do the job either. Right? Usually the resistance is, well, you're stealing jobs from engineers, but somebody have to talk to the drone, right? So that engineer is not risking his life anymore climbing a critical asset. He's on the ground doing it from the safety of his car or the ground. The drone is creating new industry. That's creating more and more jobs that it's taking away. If anything, it's just taking away those dangerous jobs that we shouldn't be doing at all, right? So I know there's resistance to, we've seen it, we come and pitch a product like, hold on, if my company buys this, I'll be redundant, right? Dude, we need somebody to fly that drone. You're still important, but you don't have to leave your office anymore. So what we do is move your job from the hazardous place to the desk, because we're digitizing your asset, and you can inspect it while you're sitting at the safety on your box, or your desk.
So you better start learning about it.
Yeah, exactly. So get into it, or join us. But yeah, this is how we see that Right now, we collect data, we report it, and we pushed it now to recommendation. In the future, we want to actually fix it at the same time.
Okay, so robotic arms.
Robotic arms, welding, anything that you could think of really could be added.
So how do you think, how far we are from?
That's hard. I want to say deliveries, we're like 2 to 3 years away. Robotics arms, there's some things that you can do right now, that basics. There's an important AI element for the flight, right? So the drone today are smart enough to sense and avoid, but it's based on an optical and a visual sensors. They see something, they stop, or they get a radar signal and they stop. It's not smart enough to decide, to avoid it completely. They will stop, but they don't know why they stop. So there's a few companies developing AI with decision making, right? So this is a human, I need to avoid him. Or this is a bird coming to me, I know this bird, when it sees me, is gonna go up and down, so I need to unmaneuver it. So once we cross the sense and avoid to sense and react, then we could install more and more. Because right now the drone will avoid a bird but crash into a baby, for instance, or will avoid a pillar and crash into because it just doesn't know, it's just avoiding. So once we reach that point of sense and decide, then you can do more and more.
It's going to become smart.
Yeah.
All right. So I was reading about this kind of initiative, Dubai Sky Dome.
Sky Dome, yeah.
Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing initiative. So what the DCA set up I assume an independent entity that's called Sky Dome. It's an invisible, obviously, dome or virtual dome. And within this dome, it's going to allow real airports for drones. So I think it's the first city ever to do this. I didn't hear of any other city doing this, but this is the beginning, or what you need from a regulator point of view to allow drone deliveries, to allow human transportation with drones, to allow everything we discussed today. So we mentioned there's lack of infrastructure. So this is one element that's important. We have it. So we have a legal framework to allow this to happen.
So like drone road where
so it could be that. So the dome is a certain altitude and geographical space that you cannot cross or come about. So let's say commercial airplanes flies at 36,000 feet, helicopter flies at 10,000 feet, or whatever number. We give the drone a certain altitude, also a certain highway or airspace. So I didn't work with Sky Dome, so I don't know really their full on strategy, but what is public is that they get it's the first framework that connects the control tower that controls the airspace, obviously, because usually these are independent from civil aviation. So they do their own management. Civil aviation will be responsible for the airplane and a few things, but the Sky Dome connects those together. But it's still missing the UTM, which is the unmanned traffic management. Right now, the control towers are controlling the manned towers, so you have a person inside the tower communicating directly with the pilot with a device. The unmanned one needs to be automated because there are going to be thousands and millions of them in the air. There's nobody on the board to talk to. So it needs to be automated. It needs to be completely automatic. So the drones needs to talk to other drones and to the base, wherever the tower is. The first framework is what Dubai did today, which is really amazing. This will do two things: attract investors to come here and start building their own automated system, because Dubai will allow them. It will attract also UTM developers to come here to say like, look, you know, legally we can do this here, so let's do it. And also it allows for, like, if I want to, let's say I've developed a drone taxi that can transport humans, then I can legally do it here, right? So, you know, it's allowed. I mean, obviously the drone have to pass the general civil aviation, you know, there's criteria, but you can legally fly over the airspace of Dubai. But it's definitely the first step, and I'm pretty sure they're the first one to do it as well.
So SkyDome is the first infrastructure
to
allow.
Yeah, it's a government entity, and it's the first. Yeah, it's a law. They published a new law. So I haven't seen any other city on the planet that have a law for this. I could be wrong, but you know.
And what does it mean for your business?
Well, it just says that this country is you know, drone ready. If I was to do, I mean, if we have a law here, then we're surely going to be the first country ever to do drone deliveries. And you know, as a drone entity, we're going to have a stake on that, right? So if, let's say, you start a drone delivery company tomorrow, because you understand logistics, you still don't understand drones and you need us. So, you know, it just grows the industry in general.
That's where you can
start. Yeah, so let's say a famous or a big like DHL wants to start delivering drones tomorrow. They don't have drones. They don't know you know, so they either need to invest in the infrastructure, which somehow or another will benefit the whole drone ecosystem by, you know, increasing demand, by creating more pilots, by whether we work with them or not. So it just benefits the whole system.
Okay. All right. Well, for sure, we're all looking forward for drone taxis and drone pizza deliveries with Amazon and stuff. And like you mentioned, Dubai is one of the first cities who
I think we'll be the first one to deliver humans and pizza.
And enjoy the service, at least face it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for the
thank you
for the tour, for the conversation, and sharing your knowledge.
That was beautiful. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.